Welcome to the Dare to Be Different podcast. My name is Joe Altieri. I am here today with one of my favorite people in the entire world, Ed Newell. How are you today, Ed?
I'm doing great. Thanks for being here. Or, no, I'm an idiot. Let's start again.
You're listening to the Dare to Be Different podcast, a podcast for people who want to live an extraordinary life. In this episode, Joe sits down with his friend, Ed Newell, an incredible young leader in a nonprofit organization, to talk about what it looks like to live your life with a purpose-driven passion. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Dare to Be Different podcast. My name is Joe Altieri. Today, I am with my special guest, one of my favorite people in the world, Ed Newell. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're here. So you got a little tour of our place and our podcast studio. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. What you guys are doing here is next level.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun. For a screen company, well, and a digital marketing company, but for a screen company, we do have some fun.
Yeah, you're doing it big.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know Ed is the leader of a nonprofit. You're on the leadership team of a nonprofit.
Right.
You probably have, 100 volunteers that work directly for you,
right,
or with you, I guess.
Right. And
it's a faith-based nonprofit.
Yep.
But the what we're going to talk about today is being passionate. But I think whether it's a faith-based organization, a screen company, a family, or a personal life, this applies across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to having success in different areas of life, I don't think there's much separation between having success in any. There's not a big difference in between what it takes to be successful in those different areas, and so everything crosses over.
So again, faith-based organization, right? So we know that your faith plays a role in that.
Right.
But part of your story is you actually went out and got a degree in education and came out of college and said, I'm glad I have that degree, but I'm actually going to do what my passion is.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And for me, I loved education. I went to school to be a teacher, and I thought I could spend my entire life doing that. But to some degree, I'm still teaching and leading in the capacity of my job now. But I just felt like for myself, I wanted to be part of this organization because I feel like it did make me part of something that was a little bit bigger than myself. And again, not that education does not do that, but for me, it just felt like this was the thing that I felt like I was called to, and I just wanted to step into the thing I was most passionate about.
Yeah, and a degree in education, being able to deal with 3-year-olds is probably pretty good when you're dealing with adults too.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I know a lot of us act like 3-year-olds.
The same principles apply to leading children to leading adults. Yes, absolutely.
So you actually brought up the key topic for today that I would really like to explore, which is, finding your passion. To me is a lot of how do we make our mark on the world.
Right.
I heard somebody talk about this the other day, probably a couple months ago, and they said, everybody try to think of your great-great-grandfather's name. Like, wow, I have no idea what my great-great-grandfather's name was.
Right.
So you have 2 generations there, and you're already forgotten.
Right.
And that's a humbling thing, you know, that even my family won't remember who I am.
Right.
And I think that our world struggles with that a lot because we all want to find where we fit into the world. What is that mark we're making? And I think that having a passion about something is actually that key to us exploring where we fit into the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think in every single person, we want to be known. We want to feel known. We want to feel like we're making a difference, like we matter in the world, that, I'm contributing something beneficial to the organization I'm a part of or my family. And so much of that, I think, depends on, okay, do you really believe in what you're doing? Do you really believe in who you are and why you exist and the way you're spending your time? And so all of that kind of comes back to, okay, do I really believe in this thing that I'm a part of? Am I passionate about this? And if you are, I think it just gives you a sense of self-worth. It gives you a sense of value that, okay, I'm doing something significant in my life.
And I know that you've found that why, which is great. And you found it at a young age, which is fantastic. How, when you look through social media and you look through the world and you look through the news and stuff like that, how big a part of not understanding why you're here or not finding that thing that is, significant that you're leaving in the world, do you think plays into, just the garbage that's out there. The things that we've decide to spend time on and decide to spend energy on.
It plays a massive part, because I think if you don't know that thing you're passionate about, that thing that really drives you, you can end up a little aimless, and you end up feeling, okay, do I matter? And you start asking these like self-reflective questions. Am I actually making a difference in this world? Would anybody miss me if I'm gone? I think you can actually get into that level of deepness of self-reflection when maybe you're just going through the motions, you're stuck in a dead-end job, or you're in a relationship that you shouldn't really be in, or whatever the case may be. You begin to evaluate all these different areas of your life, and if there's nothing that just pulls passion out of you, pulls excitement out of you, pulls vision out of you, if it doesn't pull it out, then when you lay your head down at night, I think you just begin to question, well, what's the difference? Why am I actually waking up to do the things that I'm doing? And so then it can lead you to make stupid decisions. It can lend you to make just poor decisions, just with being responsible, or how you spend your money, or how you spend your time. And it just continues to take you down the wrong path.
Yeah. And for me, what I see a lot of is people, especially on Facebook, because social media has become this, this outlet for people's frustrations in a lot of ways. So, whether or not they're making political commentary or anything else, it just almost seems like this Facebook activism that happens, that they think that they're passionate about something, but all they're doing is spouting negativity and things like that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what do you think about that, between the difference between real passion and fake passion? And I use that that's kind of probably strong, because people think that they're passionate about it, but at the end of the day, are they really?
Right. Yeah. That's touchy subject, man. I think.
Well, again, we won't get into the details of, but
yeah, it's obviously, it's hard to assess someone's general interest or passion in any given topic, but you're right in that social media has given you, in a lot of cases, an anonymous outlet, or at least an outlet where you're behind a screen and don't have to talk to someone face to face. And it just has exacerbated people's abilities to say things that they might not honestly say in person. And that can, I think, open up a door to see oftentimes the worst sides of people, because you might tend to be more extreme online in your opinions or what you're saying. And you get into those arguments on, a Facebook feed of comments, when in all actuality, if you were sitting next to somebody, the type of argument that was going on, I don't know if it would happen to that degree or that significance, because there's a human interaction involved.
You might have a civilized conversation rather than an antagonistic debate.
Right. And so then I think it reflects what you use the phrase fake passion. I think it comes off as fake passion online, when in all actuality, they might believe in what they're saying, but if they actually just sat down and had a human conversation with this person, face to face, most times I think people are more similar than they are,
different.
Yeah.
Well, and for me, what frustrates me looking at this, and whether it's young people or old people or whatever the case may be, is that the energy that they're putting forth to have debates, or again this Facebook activism, are they actually making a difference? And I don't mean that So if you have a political cause that you're passionate about, that you feel that you need to have this need to post about, are you actually going door to door and helping people to understand your
really
position?
Good. Yep.
Are you working with that politician's team, or is it just I have some extra time in between episodes of Friends, and so I'm gonna make some comments.
That is awesome. I think that's a lot of wisdom there. That. You can spend your time commenting about it, or go out and actually do something. If you're actually this passionate about this topic, go out and try to make a difference. I think some people would try to make the case that they can't make a difference, or maybe the hill to climb is too big. But then that almost just says to me, okay, then you're not actually passionate about doing what it takes to actually climb the hill then, because it's probably not as difficult as you think it is to make a difference.
Right. And the fact of the matter is, if you're not willing to make that step, you might not be able to run that marathon, but at least you're a step closer.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to do that, because I personally, again, it's just my personal opinion, I don't believe that Facebook activism is a step in the right direction when you're trying to make something happen. I think there's great things that people can get behind, and I think that they can bring awareness to things. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But to say, this is my cause, this is why I exist on this earth, I just think that trap of trying to find that on Facebook and I'm just using Facebook as an example.
Right. You're not going to get anywhere if the extent of your activism is a post on Facebook once a week,
right,
and commenting negative things on other people's posts.
And so I guess that kind of leads us back to what does it take to be passionate about something? That I think that's the big thing. So we're talking about this and saying, okay, well, maybe this isn't necessarily passionate, but people believe that this is passionate. So what does it actually take to have a real passion? Because again, I see what you and your organization are doing.
Yeah.
Like they're hands and feet, man. They're like boots on the ground doing stuff.
Right.
And so what does it take to take someone from, I want to make a difference, to I am now part of this cause that is making a difference?
Yeah, I mean, passion takes you somewhere, right? Like passion is going to drive you. It's going to help you have forward momentum in the thing that you're passionate about. And every single person in this world, you will end up somewhere in life. The question will be, did you end up there on purpose? And so when you talk about,
that's really good.
If I'm going to end up somewhere on purpose, if I'm going to let this passion drive me, I think passion really becomes defined in, why do you exist? Like, do you have a why to how you live your life, how you spend your time, how you spend your money?
Yeah. And for some people, for me, as an example, growing the business that I'm a part of is a passion of mine.
Right.
You know my story, and I'm sure most of the listeners do. I invented something in my garage that could have died in that garage.
Absolutely.
If I didn't have passion for it, if I didn't have, the will to go out and make it a success, and continue making it a success, there's no possible way that it would have gotten any further.
Right. And so for you, you were able to identify something that you were passionate about, and then you kind of said, okay, I'm going to drive this forward. And where Flex Green is at today in the studio and everything that you've built based off of this one little product is because
it's not a little product, just so we're aware.
A significant world-changing product. Because of this one product, it's done so much for you. But this didn't accidentally happen. You got here on purpose with a purpose, because you had this thing inside of you that was just driving every single thing you did. It drives who you are. When you wake up in the morning, this singular passion drives how you spend your time, how you spend your money, how you interact with your family, how you treat your employees, the type of studio you build out. This one thing now drives everything for you, and that makes all the difference.
It does, and it also. But by the way, I had heard this in the past, and it said it was talking about passion, and it said, do not give up on something that you wake up thinking about. Wow. And so you just kind of mentioned that, and I think that's so profound.
Right.
If you wake up in the morning, you're like, I need to collect dolls. Again, whatever that thing is,
yes.
Like, then that's your thing.
Go
like, that's your passion.
Dolls.
Go collect dolls. And again, I personally think doll collecting is not I could never get behind that.
Wouldn't be my passion.
It would not be but if that's your passion,
yeah.
A lot of people here, one of the podcast guests I had in the past was blown away with the amount of passion that the crew here, who's a lot of young people, have for window screens. And that's, yeah, do they necessarily care about the product? They care about the mission that we are on.
Right.
And they've kind of rallied with me, and that becomes a lot of their passion. They work hours that I do not require of them, because they're passionate about it, because they care about it. They want to make the company successful.
Right. Yeah. And so for you, listening, I think the question is, what is your why?
What is your why? Exactly.
What is going to be the thing in you that drives you, that makes you passionate, that really causes you to wake up in the morning and get from where you're at to where you want to go? And to some people, for me, it might be a faith-based organization. For others, it might be the company they work for, the company they founded that started in their garage. It could be a variety of different things, but it doesn't have to be that. I mean, your why can also be something related to your closest relationships in your family.
Absolutely.
My grandmother on my wife's side recently passed away, and she was the matriarch of this family. I mean, like, her life was so much about loving the people around her. And man, we when we went and had her funeral, we celebrated this woman's life for how she impacted the people around her. Her why totally was about connecting with these people that she interacted with every single day. It could have been a neighbor, it could have been a friend. It definitely was her immediate family. Many kids, many stepkids. One of her stepsons saying like, she was my mom, and it was just this powerful testimony to this woman who lived out such a powerful why in her life to love and connect with the people around her.
Yeah, and that's and you have to imagine that when she woke up in the morning, it somewhere in the back of her mind is like, what is the positive impact that I'm going to have on somebody else's life today?
Right.
What is the positive? And that very easily can be a passion. Like
Right.
that is what I want to do. And so, I think the big question for a lot of people is, how do I find that? Like,
Yeah.
what is the steps that I need to take to actually find that? Because maybe I have 5 things that I'm interested in, but I'm not sure if any of them are actually a passion.
Yeah. I want to read this quote before we dig into that. This is from author, business leader Simon Sinek. He said, "Knowing your why is not the only way to be successful, but it is the only way to maintain a lasting success and have a greater blend of innovation and flexibility. When a why goes fuzzy, it becomes much more difficult to maintain the growth, loyalty, and inspiration that helped drive the original success." And again, he's talking from a business standpoint, but the same philosophy can be attributed to having a successful family, successful marriage, successful relationship with kids, whatever the case may be. And so for me, I think if I'm sitting here and thinking, okay, if I was listening to this and thinking, I do not have the thing that drives me, I do not have a thing that I wake up in the morning thinking about that I really want to chase after, I would just challenge you to say, okay, can you kind of take a step back and reassess your life? Reassess what there has
This is
to
a
be.
deep podcast. This isn't
Yeah.
this isn't like the happy one, like where it's just like this is soul searching. We have to do.
I guarantee there is something in your life, in your world that drives you, and it could be a relationship. It could be a product that you have yet to invent. It could be your faith. It could be a number of different things. But the challenge is, can you identify that thing and figure out, okay, how am I going to make that the driving factor of what I want my life to be about?
You know where I think some people get caught up
Yeah.
is they're not willing to make the sacrifice that might be involved in actually finding that passion and then pursuing it.
Right.
Because more than likely, when you find a passion, your life doesn't look the same as it does today.
Yeah, it doesn't. And all of those different areas of life will require something different of you. When you're driven by the why of having great relationships around you and a great family, so much of that is about putting their needs ahead of your own. And consistently doing that over time is a challenge, right? Because we're just inherently selfish and
We are, yeah.
looking out for ourselves. And so even if that is your why, it's easy to, fail at that. It's a natural thing to divert back to yourself. But so consistently sacrificing your own needs for the sake of others is something you have to do over time to have those healthy relationships. For yourself, man, I can't even imagine the amount of time, sleep, money that you had to actually sacrifice in order to invest into a product that built what you have here today. But that's the truth. You had to sacrifice something in order to see it come to fruition.
Right. Yeah. And I think it for us, it actually goes into another direction. I don't want to get too far off topic, but so if you're willing to make the sacrifice, right, then you have this fear of failure. So now I have this passion, right? I've said I'm willing to take the step to drive towards that. And again, that could be anything. It's starting a charity. It could be, like you said, family, whatever. But then what happens if I don't make it? And, for us, what we've decided, Alicia and I, and even the Flex Screen staff here is that, having that as part of the journey, that's life. So if I find a passion, and even if I don't, again, let's just, I think this is a weak one, but let's just say it's a political affiliation, right?
Sure.
And I want to go out and try to help get this person, local, national, whatever, elected.
Right.
And they don't make it, right? I've gone out, I did all the leaflets, I did whatever, you know what I mean? And they weren't elected. do I take that as a failure? Or do I take that as, man, that was a really interesting thing that I did,
Right.
and now I've got some experience, and now the next thing maybe that's still my passion, maybe politics is still my passion, so now there's something else that I can in that realm,
Absolutely.
or faith based or
Yeah.
whatever. There's lots of people that want to do something great for their faith.
And what did you say on one of your earlier episodes, that just being on the journey is part of the process, right? Didn't you say something like that?
That's life. That's the journey is life. The end goal isn't.
Right. So just taking the risk is significant, because if you don't have a why behind, this might be extreme. If you don't have a why behind what you do will ultimately kill you. Like, if you don't have something that's actually driving you, if you're just going through the routine of life, that's going to kill you. That's going to waste you away, to make you think that you're not really doing anything. So at least take the risk. And if you don't quite make it, at least you've done something. And at least you've probably climbed to another level in some capacity for, making some progress in some area.
Yeah. I mean, none of us are making it out of this alive, right?
Right.
And if you think about what life is, life is the sum of the experiences that we have from birth till we expire, right? That's what life is.
Right.
So I really like the way that you said that. Like, having a mundane life will kill you.
Yeah.
And the reason that it's killing you is the fact that you're actually not experiencing life. Yes, you are alive, but you're actually not experiencing life, which is its own form of death in a way.
Right. Yeah, so I would just say, if you need to find your why, just walk yourself through a series of questions. Why do I get up in the morning? Like, why do you might say, well, I want a paycheck, right? And I think that might be an easy thing for people to fall back to. But why do you want that paycheck?
Yeah,
Like,
you have to ask the
questions.
whys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of whys in between there.
I want the paycheck so I can make money. Why do you want money? Okay, because I want to own this thing. Okay, that's great. But why do you want to own that thing? I want my family to be supported. Okay. Then you start that actually starts to dig into something, because you want to bless your family. You want to benefit your family. You want your family to be set up for success. You're starting to dig into something that is more significant than just wanting a paycheck.
Or the other side, you realize that your why is really superficial and it needs a change.
That's right.
I want a paycheck so I can have a sports car. Why do I want a sports car? So people think that I'm successful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, hold on.
Yeah.
Is that, so now you're living for somebody else, not
Right.
necessarily for you. You're
Right.
living for this perception that somebody
That's
has.
really good. Yeah.
And so now you're like, is that the right why I should have?
Yeah. From a let me ask you this, from like a business perspective, because I think it's so important for you to know your individual why. But what does it look like for an organization to have an organizational why? Or even I mean, you got multiple teams here and multiple departments, even different team wise or departmental wise. And what's the significance in having these for an individual team, an individual person, an individual organization, knowing their unique why?
Yeah, and so mission statements it's a very old, people have been doing that for years and years and years. Like, what is our organizational mission statement? And when you come up with that, and for us, our mission statement are the values that we've talked about on our podcast. So we took those as personal family values and brought them in as really our mission statement in the organization. So we can actually point back to any of those and decide whether or not the actions that we're taking fit into that why, and then we can judge whether or not that action is good or not.
That's good.
So if, and this is not our mission statement, but let's just say hypothetically, our mission statement is to be the largest window screen company in the world, right? So every action that we take should be leaning towards that.
Right.
So if we can't go through that filter, then I shouldn't be doing it. If I can't justify it in some way, bringing it back to that mission statement, then I shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
Now, if it's so blatantly obvious that it fits into that mission statement, then of course we should be doing it.
Sure.
And I think for us individually, having that personal mission statement or that family mission statement or whatever is really important, because then that becomes a filter of our life.
Yeah. Leading the nonprofit, you leading, a for-profit business, the individual teams and departments we lead, I think it's so important for them to know how does my department play a part into impacting the organizational why.
Exactly.
If they can connect that line, then it makes what they're doing so much more valuable. And then even further, if they can connect their personal job description, their why in their role to the departmental why, which ties to the organizational why. All of those connected dots just really builds weight in your soul to think, okay, I am bigger than what I'm a part of. And I might be doing a medial task right now, and this task is not something I actually enjoy doing, but I understand this task is part of a job to a bigger individual why for me at this job, which is part of the departmental why, which is part of the team why.
Yeah, and I'll take it even one step further.
Sure.
If they can tie that individual why within the organization back to their personal why of their passion,
right?
Now you have magic.
Yes, absolutely.
It's and again, the organization that you're part of, part of the teams that you lead are people that work in a parking lot, right?
Yep.
And they're out directing
Absolutely.
traffic.
Yep.
And so, when you're trying to get somebody to look at, hey, directing traffic is important because this happens, it almost becomes this continuous vision casting that you have to do, because on those days where it's, 32 degrees just above freezing and it's pouring down rain, man, they need some vision to make sure to keep those dots connected.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you said that's when the magic happens, if you can connect it to the personal why. Maybe for some people that doesn't always fully happen. You might be at a job where you feel like, and you might like your job, but you're not quite sure how your job really ties to your own personal why. But at the end of the day, I think if you can at least tie, okay, you're going to make that paycheck, and that ultimately allows you can begin to ask those questions we said previously to say, okay, why are you there Monday to Friday, 9 to 5? What is that going to help you in your personal side of your life and your personal why? And the same thing when it comes to your family, you can build this out. Like, what is my personal why to be a husband and a father? What is you? And again, you and your wife, Alicia, I think talked about this on a previous episode, but what is the why of our marriage? Why do we exist as a marriage? Why do we exist as parents? Once our whole family, you got 4 kids, I have 2. Why does our family exist? Like, how are we going to make a difference? And if you can answer these questions, man, it just becomes so powerful for you to live a more fulfilling life, for you to know, okay, what I'm a part of is bigger than the part I play. I'm part of something here. I matter, and I'm going to make a difference in my family, in my workplace, my faith organization, whatever that means.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason for this podcast, right? It's to have people live an extraordinary life. Ordinary is just
boring.
It's boring. It's not a way to live. I really believe that. And so, if there's a way to try to communicate what I feel and what the people that sit around this table feel, and just change one life, it's a passion of mine.
Absolutely.
So I'm really excited about it. Now, all right, so we're almost done with time.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about like real nuts and bolts.
Sure.
For, finding our why.
Sure.
And so a young person, right? They're at a job that they hate. They can't find what their reason for existence is. What are some real quick suggestions that we can give to that young person?
Yeah, I think we've already covered a few of them, but I would just ask a few questions. Why, at the end of the day, if money did not matter, what would you spend your life doing? Why do you want to get out of the bed in the morning? What drives you? What ignites passion in you? What excites you? And if you can find some answers to those questions, then I would say, okay, how can you spend more of your life around that, whatever the answer is? You might be able to make a career out of it. If you can, I would say go for that and take the risks that are associated with it. At least try for it. At minimum, you can carve out as much of your life as possible to be about that one thing.
Yeah, and as a young person, my personal suggestion is take as many risks as you possibly can trying to find that why.
That's good.
Because you have this, as a young person, most young people have this hedge of protection around them. That is their parents. That is the fact that they don't have a lot of responsibilities. I was talking to somebody who started a new phase of his life, and he was 24 years old, and he said, "Should I do this?" I'm like, "It doesn't get any easier, dude. Like, it's just that simple."
Yeah, that's good. So you're saying as a young person, you might not even know what drives you. So just go try stuff.
Go try stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe this works out. Maybe this is good. Maybe it's not. But at least you've tried it. What I want for every single young person around me is to not have regret. So So if it's something that, and if that means that they no longer work for me and they go try something on their own, I am going to be the biggest fan of theirs. I'm going to give them every bit of support because I don't want them to have regret that they missed something that could have been life-changing for them.
That's good.
So that's my thing. And I wish that for my children and my grandchildren, anybody that's associated with me, I want them to go out and try. Now that might change a little bit as you have more responsibilities, because now as somebody that's in their 40s like I am, although I was able to make a big jump out of in faith and things like that to start this company, not everybody has that same luxury.
Right.
So what advice do we have for them? Same questions. I mean, we still have to ask those same questions.
Yeah, exactly. I guess you ask those questions in light of maybe the current responsibilities that you have. If you're going to be taking a risk, you have to assess, how does this risk impact my current financial future, my family, everything else. But I still think that no matter how old you are, no matter what season in life you're in, you have the same opportunity to think, okay, what is the thing I am most passionate about today? And how can I adjust my life to allow that to greater drive me on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely. I don't think we could end it in any better way. So thank you so much for all of the time you spent. We should do this again. This has been a lot of fun. I really enjoy chit-chatting with you. And if you want to find Ed Newell on any of his social medias, we'll post them up so that you can connect with Ed. If you want to check out joealtieri.com, you can see the all of the values that we have, and also subscribe to our podcast and things like that. So thank you again for watching. Thanks for coming, Ed. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you.